Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks, and this is a tutorial on how I made my lacy scarf. Now I recently made this scarf because I just came out of hospital and I knew I would have a scar on my neck, and I wanted something lightish to wear in the summer on a coolish day, but also that you could double it up and wear it during the winter and it keep you warm. So I came up with this design, and a lot of people have said that they really like it and wanted me to do a tutorial. So that's what I'm doing today. Now this measures, I have measured it with my super duper little guy, and it measures 140 centimeters. So it's not mega long, but you could obviously go longer if you wanted to. Now I just used one skein of this yarn, and the yarn that I've used for it is from Hobbycraft, and it's called Twist and Shout. Now obviously I used the greys on this particular scarf, but I'm going to use the pink one on this new one. Now there is a real glitz going through this yarn, but it doesn't pick up quite as well on the camera here because I don't have any artificial light on, and so it's just coming in through the window and it's not shining it as much as it normally would. But the length of this yarn is 280 meters. I think for my grey scarf I didn't go right to the end of the skein. That one was a little bit shorter, but this one I'm going to use a whole skein. But obviously if you wanted it longer, just get more yarn. But this is the pink grey, and in here there are some really lovely greys and whites as well, which just like this one, it kind of variegates as we go down, but it's got this marble effect as well, so it's quite pretty. It is extremely soft. It says it's 98% acrylic and 2 metallic, but I have felt premium acrylic that has not been as soft as this. This is just absolutely beautiful yarn. Now you can use plain, you can use self-striping, you can use anything you want. And this says fashion yarn, but I know it's a DK. The strand is definitely a 3 weight. It's not the thinnest, so I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. You could use a 4, or if it's thicker, use a 5. So just do it accordingly. Now you can make it wider, you can make it shorter, you can sew it together and make it an infinity scarf or a cowl. You can do anything you want, but basically I'm just going to make a nice scarf with the whole of this skein. So I'm just going to clear all this stuff away now and get ready to start. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when there are new videos. So just bear with me a moment while I get this all clear and ready. Okay, so I'm ready now, but I wanted to show you one more thing I forgot to say. With this particular scarf, I just finished it on, that's the beginning, I just finished it on a shell row because it gives it this kind of natural wavy scallop edge, and I didn't edge it in any way along the sides. My first row I just did a solid row, but I'm not going to do that for this one. If you wanted to, you could finish on this row, which is harder to see on that colour, so let's get it, that row. You could finish on this particular row here and square it off and make a little border if you want, or you could do some tassels. It's completely up to you. So I'm just going to start by making a slip knot. You do that any way that you want, and we're going to make 32 chain. So chaining it is yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. We don't want them tight. If you have a tendency to chain tightly, then use a little bit of a bigger hook to make your chain. We don't want them tight. These are hard to see once you work into them with this marbling, and I do apologise for that, but I wanted to get this scarf made in this yarn because it's lovely. So we're yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through. So I want 32 of these. So I'm going to pause it because there's nothing worse than when you're trying to count somebody else's counting. So I'll catch up with you again once I have my 32. Okay, so I have 32 chain, And now what we're going to do is going to work in the 5th chain from the hook. So we need to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's hard to see, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do it with my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to do a UK treble crochet or US double in this stitch. So it's yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do 1 chain and go back into that same stitch and do another. So we've made a V stitch. Okay, so now we're going to skip 2. Now this is the hardest row because of the fact that it's hard to see. So we're going to skip 1, skip 2. It wouldn't be hard if the yarn wasn't quite as marbled, but because the stitch is two-tone, it's hard. It's easy to get one too many or too few. So I was trying to put my hook in to each stitch. Now I'm going to make another V. So I've skipped 2, and we're going to make another V by doing 1 with a chain and another one in the same stitch. Now I'm going to yarn over, skip another 2 and do a single in there. So what we're doing is we're making, this is our single at the end, we're making a V, a post, a V, a post, and that is our repeat. So we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and in this one here we're going to make another V. So it's 1 UK treble or US double, 1 chain and another one in the same stitch. And we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and go in the next one and make our post. And we're going to do that all the way to the end. So I'm going to pause it there and I will catch up with you when I get to my final stitch. Okay, so here we are. It looks a little bit holy, I guess you could say. So now I've got my last 2 skips and my very final post. So this will start with a post and end with a post, because up this end we have 4 chains, so that works out. Now we're going to chain, well, I'm going to turn it first and then chain 2, and in this first V, there's our post. In this first V we're going to make 5 UK treble crochets or US doubles. So if you want to stop this from spinning round like that, just pop a finger on it, and then we just in that one V make 5 stitches, 5 UK trebles or US double crochets in the same space. So that is my 5th one, and that is a shell. That's what they call a shell. So when my mum first taught me this stitch many years ago, it was making V's and shells all the way along. But I've changed it by putting a post in because I like the way this row looks with the V's and the post. So now we're going to do a post in our previous row's post. So it's a single one in that stitch there. Hang on, just need to pull out some yarn. Okay, so we're not chaining in between or anything like that. Now we've got quite a wide shell and that's going to fill up the space. So in this next V, you can see the first row is always the hardest to see what you're doing. We're going to do our 5. So that is now our repeat, a shell and a post, a shell and a post. And we're making 5 in our shell. We don't want it to become too much of a fanned out shell, but we want a center stitch. So we've got 2 each side and a center one. And now we're going to do another post into the previous row's post. So how you can see it's working out. Where you've got a V, you've got a shell, and where you've got a post, you've got a post. So this one is a V. We're going to carry on with our 5. Now I'm not going to pause it this time because there's not that many, so it's not going to be a long way to get to the end of the row. And I'm aware of the fact that I am crocheting fairly fast if you're a beginner, so I'm trying not to go too fast. So if I go ahead of you, then by all means please just pause it. So I've just done my post onto my next shell. It's a very simple but really effective pattern, this. Quite old-fashioned, but I've modernised it a little bit by putting in that post. So if you ever get stuck, just count them. That's 5. Post. Now our last shell for this row. And now we're going to make our last post in the stitch next to our treble crochet. So there, go in, and that will be our edge. So we've got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells. So I'm going to turn our work. We're going to crochet 2 chain, and we're going to go in for the center stitch, which is always ever so easy to see, but you can count them if you want. And we're going to make a V in that center of those 5 in the shell. So we've made our V, and then we're just in a post there, we're going to make a post. Again, count them if you want to, but it's quite obvious, it stands out nicely, which is the center of our 5. And this is an absolutely brilliant pattern. I need to pull some yarn out, bear with me, for sitting, watching TV, crocheting along. And it's nice and easy to just get on with something else. You don't have to pay it absolute attention. I mean, obviously you need to pay a bit of attention. You don't want to be going in the wrong places, but it's a good one for you know, to doing something where you don't have to count so much, where you don't have to be, it's very, very simple, which is good. And it looks pretty. So we're just carrying on, making our V in the center of our shell and our post in our post all the way to the end. And here we are, our last shell for the row. Make our last V, and again you can see here where you've got to go in, just the one past our shell, and that's now starting to take shape. So this is where you decide which is the way you like it to look the best. Now, V's on the right side or shells on the right side. Now I like shells on the right side. It looks better for me that way, but either way it still looks quite nice. So that basically is our pattern, nice and simple and easy. So we're going to do our 2 chain, which is our end post, and 5 UK trebles or US doubles in this 1 V to make our shell. And we just keep repeating this as far as you want. That's our 5, and now we come to a post, so we're going to make our post, and now we make our shell. It's very simple, so anyone, any beginner could easily make this. Now, as I say, if you wanted to, you could just leave the ends. If you lose count, just count them. That's 5. Now we're doing a post. Another 5, but you can equally make a nice border all the way around it. Sorry, I'm hitting the camera. Try and stop doing that, it's annoying. Yeah, that's 4, 5, and our post. Another one, nearly at the end. Of course, as well, if you wanted to, you could crochet the length of your scarf and do this, but they would be very, very long rows. Last shell. Almost there. Too close again. Okay, and there we go. The top of our 2 chain, our last stitch. So pull that out a little bit, and there we go. It's very simple, but very effective. I like it. So I'll bring in the finished one again. As I said, I didn't start with a solid row, which I did on the first one I made, so that I could keep our options open regarding what you want to do at the bottom. So this looks almost identical either side, and I decided to just leave it at that. But if you have a little look at the finished one, this is how the pattern looks. It's harder to see on that pink, but you can see where this is variegating from the grey to the white. It's kind of a grey white, isn't it? It's lovely. I like this colour. And I've got a feeling it's going to be just as pretty in that one. So if you wanted to, when you get to the end, if you finish on the same row, you've got the option of making tassels or just doing a nice little border. Or you can finish on this edge and have that little scallop, and you can come back and do exactly the same this side and do a row of shells, but obviously make sure it's the right way. So I'm going to pause this video now, because that is the pattern. A row of V's with a post, a row of shells with a post. So where you have a V, you're doing your shell. Where you have a shell, you're doing your V. Where you have a post, you're doing your post. So it's nice and simple. I'm gonna, as I say, pause this and come back to you once I've almost finished. Right, well, as you can see, this is a very much the same as the other yarn, where it does variegate into the grey, and then two-tone with pink and grey, and then we get the white, which is absolutely gorgeous. So if they made one that was predominantly white, I'd be definitely going to be buying that one. And then we go back to those colours again, and we finish off with the colours we started with. So it's absolutely perfect, the way it worked out. So I haven't got a great deal of yarn left. Probably enough for 2 more rows, so let's get them done. And or you could finish now. It's just your personal preference. So I'm just going to finish on a V row anyway, on this one, and show you what I mean about the edging, should you wish to do it. If I've got enough yarn, that is. This one is slightly longer than the first one I made, only slightly. Like I said, I didn't finish the whole ball on the other one. I figured it was long enough. I just judged it, and I know what I was after, the effect that I was after. So I just stopped when I wanted. But this is using the whole skein. There we are. That one was a little harder to see the middle, so just counted. Almost there. Now I'm not going to make a border on mine, but I'm going to show you what I mean. Because it's very easy to square up, should you want to. I'm just hoping I've got enough yarn to show you. I think I do. So here we are. So you can do this whichever stitch you want. If you wanted to do a couple of rows of UK doubles, which are single crochets in the US, I prefer chain 1, cinch it down a little bit, and in each space I'm going to make it actually in the space. I'm going to do a half treble or a half double. Now I'm going to do 1 there, and inside my V I'm going to do 2. And then I'm going to do another one here. I'm just going to judge it, however many I need to do. 1 each side of my post, and then 2 inside my V. If it looks like it's pulling, which it doesn't, I will do more. So this one looks like I need another stitch there. So I'm going to go into the post itself. I'm just going to judge it so that it doesn't gape or pull. I don't worry whether my stitch counts are absolutely the right amount, as long as it is looking good, not pulling. I need 2 there, I think, and 1 on that side, and then maybe 2 in there. It's all really just aesthetics. It's easy for me to say, or it's not easy for me to say. I'm going to go 1 in the post that time. Okay, so that is what it would look like with just a solid. You can do a few rows if you want, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to finish the same as before on that edge, because I like the way it looked with the little shell end. I made that very small, did cinch it down, so I did it properly. So I'm just going to do 1 shell end, and then if you want to, you can do the same at the other end, and then you'll get that fluted effect both ends, which might be pretty. Really not sure if I'll have enough yarn. I do have more, so I could just use the start of another ball just to finish that, which I probably will. But I'm not going to edge along the side. As I said to you at the beginning of this video, if you wanted to make it even shorter and then kind of crochet or stitch it together, you could, and make an infinity scarf or a cowl. It's quite a versatile thing. You can do anything with this. Okay, so nearly there. If you wanted to, you could do more in your shells, but it would fan out the end of your scarf a little bit. It does in any case fan out the end, because you've not got more rows pulling it. The center rows, obviously, like where they're the heaviness of the scarf, it gets pulled, whereas the ends obviously don't get pulled. So they do have a tendency to fan, but that happens with every scarf because all of them have that sort of effect. Last one. Nearly there. And I just realised I don't have any scissors, which is, I'm so out of practice with them. Okay, so that's what it would look like having that at this end. How much yarn do I have left? Not really very much, so I don't think I've got enough with this ball to really show you. I'm just going to pause it a second. I need to get some scissors. Okay, so I'll leave a little tail. Very blunt, those scissors. And just end off with a chain, cinch it down and pull it through. Then you can sew that in. So if I go to the other end of my scarf and drop my yarn, I can attach it, slightly different pink this end, but I can attach it at the corner and show you. I possibly will not keep it because it's a different colour, but I just wanted to show you. I'm just going to do my chain. I'll do the first one with both ends and then the second one on its own. Now I'm going to just go straight in to this V and do 5, and it would have the same effect. I don't think I'll have enough of this yarn in any case. I'm working over that tail, which I won't carry on doing, just for this one here. I really don't have much, do I? Don't want it to tangle. Okay, so there's our post. Harder to see, going the wrong way. And then go into the V with my 5. I'm going over that end row as well, the chain. Just to show you what it would look like if you did do this. And then we go in our post. The yarn is actually working. Actually, that's not right, is it? You have to really keep your wits about you. It was the post. That was. And there's a V. Looks different upside down. You might not want to do this. It doesn't look absolutely identical, obviously, but it just gives you a way of edging and keeping this kind of fluted edge. You could straighten it off, do the straight edge, or not. I preferred just leaving it as it was. I kind of liked that tatty lace look for this. It's just something else that you can try if you want to. So here's our post. I bet I run out of yarn just before the end. It would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Oh, here it is. Here's the end. So I am going to run out just short. Wow. 4, 5. Oh my goodness, look at that. I think I'm just going to do it. Huh? How incredible is that? So I would just end it off by cinching down and pulling through, and then that's what it would look like. It does obviously make this a little holier, but at least you finish and start with one of these kind of fluted shells. That's what I was trying to think of. But that's if you wanted to make both ends the same. Obviously you don't have to. You can just, it will obviously look better if this was the same colour. But thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that, and that's my first tutorial done since I came out of hospital. So I'm glad I've got one done and managed to get through it. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell and give it a thumbs up, and let me know what you thought in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye bye for now.